Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of our FM19 Journeyman, and it is time to reveal that we have in fact left FF Jaro, and it was not an easy decision. And it's actually quite sad. I really enjoyed our time at Jaro. I think we had a really good time of it, and we really did build a little story within that club, you know. We started off, we survived, or we got them above mid-table, and then we got promoted by winning the league. We managed to survive in such a dramatic fashion and then turn them into a stable top-tier side. My issue was I just didn't know how to take the club any further. You'll remember from the second to last season going into the last one, there were barely any changes to the starting 11 at all. There was only Ronco who came in, and that wasn't even a new signing. That was a player returning from loan. And I was trying to look for players all season. I just couldn't find anybody who wanted to join us who would improve us. I was honestly stuck for how to improve that team. And I know a lot of you are going to be upset that we've left and, you know, you'll have wanted us to stay, but I hope you'll stick with the series anyway. We had some similar responses when we left Torslanda. People were like, oh no, you should stay. You know, you've got something great going at this club, but we can have a lot of great things going at other clubs. But I did really enjoy our time at Jaro. It's hard to leave, it really is. But, well, this is where we are now. We are at Troyes in the French Liga 2. Quite a good side, quite a step up if I can say that. But, well, they're struggling right now. They are struggling in the league. They are down in 18th. Our aim is to avoid a relegation battle, so we have got a fair bit of work to do. There's about 16 games of the season left, and I think I'm going to start off by going through the squad that we have to achieve those goals. But before we get into that, actually, let's talk about how we ended up at Troyes. So essentially, the season ended and a couple of offers came in, a couple of offers that were a little bit tempting, you know, and it was like the Belgian second division and I think the Dutch second division were where our first offers came from. And I'm like, right, well, how far can we go then? Because if this is what's coming to us, where can we go to? And there's a lot of teams in this division, which I went for. I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of jobs in here that turned me down, so I want to beat all of them. But it was sort of like Liga 2, Serie B, Spanish Segunda Division, and the Bundesliga 2 were my main divisions I was aiming for. And Troyes were the first team that actually, we got a lot of interviews, but Troyes were the first team that offered us a contract. And I immediately jumped on it. I think this is a really good opportunity. There's a lot of room to grow with this club. And again, we can grow them with us like we did at Jaro. And it'll be a really good experience. I'm quite optimistic. So, let's go to the club. Let's go to the tactics. And let me run you through the players we've got to take us through this season. So, this is the formation I've sort of set up already. I'm going to run you through the players on an individual basis now. This is our starting goalkeeper, Anthony Maisonial, and I may say a couple of these names wrong. My French isn't good. But he looks okay. He's certainly passable. He's not terrible by any means. We've got about 1,000 goalkeepers at this club, so there's loads in the reserves. There was loads in the start of the 11. I've thinned them all out a little bit. I've had a bit of a jiggle. But he looks alright. But if he doesn't work out, we've got other players we can call upon. I'm quite optimistic, though. He looks pretty solid across the board. So our starting right back, then, is a 30-year-old Rafa Navarro. Quite a good player, even at this age. He still looks very, very solid, very good across the board. And a lot of you may know he obviously played for Betis, or as they're known in this game, Real Hispalis for some reason. Yeah, he's a good player. And I'm really excited to actually have an established player who I've heard of at this side. But if we just go back to him here, he's valued at almost £1 million at 30 years old. He's the most valuable player in the squad. And that's the first time we've really had anyone even close to that sort of money in worth. So, another player you might have heard of, centre-back Simon Fillet. Now, he is quite old in the game, but he still looks very good across the board. Obviously, he's played for Frankfurt, Metz, Lorient in real life. Frankfurt's the one I knew him from, but he's obviously played quite a few seasons at some other teams too. So, yeah, another player we might actually know. He looks very, very good, and I'm quite excited to have him in the squad. Again, he's getting on in years, but it hasn't really affected his performance, especially his physical. Still very good for his age. So, partnering Fillet is Gabriel Lopez, a regen. I promise you not all of the squad are about 32-year-olds. He certainly has his weaknesses, but he also has his strengths, and he looks reasonably promising too. His mentals, especially for his age, very good. Decent physicals. The heading is an issue, but we've worked with centre-halves with poor heading before, notably Tobias Lindahl, who was excellent for us. I'm hoping we can have similar performances from Gabriel Lopez. Left back then, one of the weaker positions in the team, in my opinion, is Mantane Coulibaly. Now, he's not great offensively, and he certainly doesn't compare to Navarro at right back, but he certainly is a decent enough player. He certainly has good defensive stats, he has some decent mentals littered throughout, and some good physicals too. And I think I need to change the colouring system that we've got going on, now that we've upped the leagues a bit. We haven't changed it since Berwick, because this guy isn't as good as the colours make him look. So, next we have Jose Gargo Duarferio, who we have to come up with a nickname for, but he isn't actually our starting defensive midfielder. He's in the side because of an injury to the person who I would normally start there. But he looks pretty solid, right? Like, if this is our backups, you really can't complain. Very solid anchor man, solid defensive midfielder, good in the defensive stats, solid passing, some decent vision, some decent physicals. Really, for a backup, not much else you can ask for. And he still has a lot of room to grow, even at 23. So, another player who you'll probably all know, Derek Asede. He's obviously played quite a bit for Bolton in the Championship. Started his career at Real Madrid, but yeah, he's predominantly, at least for me, he's known for being at Bolton. So, a good player, very, very good, and he plays one of the positions I really love to use in this game, a segundo volante, and because we can partner him with an anchorman, I think that's going to be really good. I just really like that combination of players. I'm looking forward to using him. Again, he's 31 years old. He's not young by any means. He looks very good, though, even despite that age. It's just a case of, hopefully, the age isn't a factor. And to me, it doesn't look like it will be. Now, this does look like an extremely good player, Brian Mbembo. He's going to be our right winger, but he can also play as a striker or on the left if we need him to. And his stats make him look extremely good. Good physicals, good mentals, and some very, very good physicals in both the supporting attributes like passing, crossing, and the more attacking ones, you know, his finishing. I love having players like this. It just looks so good. Like the players who you just sort of first see and you're like, wow. Okay, so I'm really excited to use him. He's spent his entire career so far at Troyes. He's had a couple of loan moves out, but outside of that, he has been here since the beginning. And, well, I'm excited to use him and see what we can get out of him. So, another young attacking midfielder. We've moved from Jaro, where we had Thomas Eriksson, and now we're at Troyes. We have Gregory Berger. And he looks extremely good. His physicals are obviously the standout, but he has some great technicals in there too. You know, his finishing, his technique, his passing. But those mentals are what really grab me, and especially that 15 determination, which means he should grow into a wonderful player. But, well, it's a question of whether he needs to grow, because if we go to his history, you'll see, despite only being 20 years old, last season he went out there and scored 11 goals in 31 games. He's been very, very good so far already. I'm hoping we can really, really make the most of him because he looks like an absolute gem of an attacking midfielder. On the left wing, Brian Pele, another player who a couple of you might have heard of. I personally hadn't, but he has been around a little bit in real life. He's played for Lorient, he's played for Troyes actually, and in real life too. He's still here from that, but he looks like a pretty decent player. He's not a standout in this squad, but he's been here a very, very long time. He's good. He's certainly by no means poor, and, well, he looks like a very good option. At the very least, that's what he'll be, a good option. But, I mean, I've got no problems with starting him. He looks bad in comparison to a couple of the other players, like Mbembo, for example, but in his own right, he's perfectly fine. So, I'm hoping he can play quite a big contribution. And again, he's been here a long time. He's quite highly valued. I'm hoping he can prove why. Another young talent. This squad is littered with them. But this is probably my favourite of the bunch, even compared to Gregory Berger in the central midfield position. Noé Stéphan looks absolutely wonderful. An 18-year-old striker. I don't need to say, just look at the stats. Just look. I don't need to say more, do I? A magnificent player. It's obviously the January transfer window right now. I've been at this club 2 days, and I've already had offer after offer after offer coming in for this guy. I wonder if I can show you, actually. If I go to our transfers... Can I show you this? Noé Stephen. Oh, I don't know if it'll show you the ones I've rejected. Yeah, look at some of the ones here I've rejected. There's one here from Genk that's rising up to 1.2 million. That's kind of mental. So, extremely promising player, and I really am hoping we can see what happens behind those stats, what happens on the pitch. I'm excited to use him. I'm not going to lie. On paper, looks like one of the most exciting players we've used in the save so far. But that is the starting 11, and I've already shown you the tactics screen, but this is how they're going to line up. Now, I did mention that Gargo down here is not actually our starter. That goes to Ilan Bordas, another young player, defensive midfielder, anchorman. I mean, he looks very good. He's a 20-year-old anchorman who looks exceptional. He's got all the right stats in all the right places. The only area where he does suffer a bit is in that passing, only being at a 9. But outside of that, he looks remarkable. He's got some great physicals in there, you know, especially things like that 17 strength, that's 15 stamina, 13 pace, 15 jumping reach, things like that. He's a very big presence on the pitch. He's like over 6 foot tall. Some great mentals in there, especially for his age. And again, he's got good determination at 13. A lot of the wonder kids in this team, now I'm going to call them wonder kids, have good determination, which should really help fuel their growth. I'm excited to use him, and like I said, once he's over his injury, he's only out for another 6 to 12 days, he will be back in the side. Now, there are a lot of substitutes in this team. The squad, I'm not going to lie, the squad is huge. There's a load of players in the reserves too. The substitutes will make an appearance, but I think I'll just go through them as and when I use them. I think the only other one I will touch on now is this guy, Vita Gabriel. Brazilian striker, 25 years old. Exceptional player. He looks very, very good and is certainly a good option, and he would be starting if it wasn't for Noé Stefan, who looks even better and is even younger. So I think he's worth a mention, definitely. Very good player, but I mean, there's no real weaknesses. Like, I'm not going to talk through these players, but if we just click around a couple of these players, Alexis Flips, backup right winger, looks great. Just a couple more. Who else can we go? Zimmerman, backup left back. Again, he's not fantastic like Koulibaly, who's starting there, but he's still a very good player. Couple more. Come on, who can I pick? Ross down here, defensive midfielder, experienced player, Spanish, looks pretty decent. Like, there's just options everywhere. There's just a lot of really good options. I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited to use this team. Now, I did mention that we were going to have to go through the form because there is a reason they're in 18th. It appears the only thing they can win in is the cup because, well, they're not doing great as of late. They actually started quite well. If we go to the start of the season here, you'll see that they went 5 games unbeaten at the start of the league and things were looking quite promising. But from there, it was just downhill. It was just a huge downhill. And, well, they've performed well in the cup, like I've said, but in the league, it's just been hit and miss, and with very few hits. There's been a win here, there's a win down here, a win here, but they're few and far between, and a lot of the results are losses. So if we take another quick look at the league table, you'll see that that leaves us in 18th, 3 points off of safety, and like I said, I'm aiming to avoid the relegation battle, so we need to try and put together some good results and fight our way up this table with some urgency, to be honest. We've got 16 games left, 8 episodes to try and battle our way up this league table. And now, avoid a relegation battle. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to lie to you. Don't know what that means. I think it'll mean, like, just don't be in contention for relegation for, like, the final couple of games of the season. But it can't mean, like, finish, like, 13th, because that's mid-table. Like, that's avoiding the relegation battle, but that's also mid-table. But, you know, 13th's only 5 points away. Or 6 points away. That's doable. That's possible. So, I'm quite optimistic. Now, I said there was a couple of other things I wanted to cover. This video is getting quite long, but I want to try and include them if I can. The first situation which really does need to be touched on is the club's financial situation is a nightmare. We're on minus £5.5 million, even more than that actually, in the overall balance. And, well, I think it is going to be quite a struggle to pull ourselves out of that. And the way that will most affect us is in the transfer department, which we have no transfer budget and a negative wage budget. Wonderful. There is a reason for this. I'm going to show you what that is. Now, this isn't the starting 11. This isn't the squad. This isn't the first team. This is the reserves. There are players in the reserves like Mateus, who's a Brazilian centre-half who's on 5k a week at 33 years old, and he's rubbish. There's El Karoubi, who is on 3.9k a week, a goalkeeper, and he's rubbish. There is Samasa, who is another goalkeeper, who is rubbish. He's on 3.9k a week again. There's just so many players littering these reserves who are literally just stealing money. Like, they're never going to feature. They're not worth anything. Now, fortunately, every single contract in the reserves, bar one, who is Nasruddin, who started in the first team, and I moved him down here because he's our third left back. I don't need that many left backs. But yeah, every single one of them expires at the end of this season. So we can move all of these on after this season with no worries at all. Or all the ones we want to, because you've got guys like this guy here, David Chevalier, who is a pretty promising young player, right? He's a 21-year-old striker, and he looks like he could turn into a little bit of something. But the majority of these players, they're just stealing money from the club, and in a lot of cases, it's a lot of money. And there's a couple of these in sort of the first team squad as well. I mean, I think at the end of the season, I'm going to have to go through, but Brian Pillay, Rafa Navarro, Fillet, have all been at the club a long time and they're on that big money because of it. And plus, they're all still heavy features in the team. But then if you go like sort of a little bit further down, you've got players like Vita Gabriel, who, like I said, excellent backup player, but he is a backup because of Noé Stefan. Do we really need him on 5.5k a week? And then I think there's a few players in the club like that. It could be said for, you know, Molina here on 4k a week. I mean, he's a solid right-back option. He's not a 4k a week right-back option. So some juggling of the finances will have to come at some point, and it is going to impact us in a couple of ways. But I'm hoping that it also might mean we can't get sacked, because they might not have the money to actually pay us off. Now, our contract is until 2027. So we have a very long contract. So for them to pay us off would be huge for them, and they don't really have the money to do it. So a little bit of job security if things go a little bit pear-shaped here. But, well, I'm still quite optimistic. I really like the look of the side. I think we can do quite a lot with it, and I think they are definitely underperforming. Some of the young talents, I mean, I'm going to touch on Noé Stephen and Gregory Berger again. Absolutely wonderful. Then you've got guys like Lopez, guys like Ilan Bordas as well, obviously the injured player. There's just some wonderful, wonderful players in the side. I'm looking forward to using them and looking forward to see what we get out of them. So, the first 2 games will be in the next video, which is going up straight after this one, same day, 15 minutes later. So, you can go and see that probably now. This has probably been going on longer than 15 minutes, and that will contain 2 games, but I have to play 3 because there's a cup match in the middle. We are obviously still in the French Cup. Like I said, they can only win in the Cup. We will play Havre, who are 3rd, which is difficult. Then we play Clermont in the Cup, who are 8th. And then we play Nancy, who are 5th, and also rejected me. So that has to be won. There's no 2 ways about that one. We have to win that game. But our initial run of games here, you'll see we will play this team, whose name I'm not even going to try to say. Stade La Volée, I say as I try to say it. They're in 7th. Then we have Reims, who are in 6th. Auxerre, who are in 2nd. We don't have an easy early run. We don't get a nice, simple honeymoon period. We get a few really difficult games in a row. It's going to be really tough. But I'm quite excited for it. I'm quite looking forward to this new challenge. I hope you're all okay with the fact that we have left Jaro. I'm sure like most of you are, but it just makes me nervous when we move club that people are going to like really be upset by it or be annoyed by it. It was a hard decision to make, and I really enjoyed our time at Jaro, but I felt it was time to move on. And, well, I hope you stick around, even if you are a bit disappointed, to see how we do with Troyes. So, I am going to wrap this up here, but before we do so, we have had a bit of a rebrand on the channel. We have changed the channel logo, we've changed the channel banner, which is up there somewhere if you're on my page. Please give them a look and let me know what you think, and huge thanks to another YouTuber, Fandang Goals, for doing this for me. He just offered to do it for me. He said, do you want a new logo and banner? I'm like, yes, please. Huge thanks to him for doing that. It was a massive help, and I really appreciate it. Links to his YouTube, his Twitter will be in the description. Massive thanks to him for that. Let me know what you think of it. But let's get into these first 2 games of the season, which will be up straight after this, like I said, 15 minutes later. So, that will be up right now. Thank you all very much for watching, and again, let me know what you think of the move, whether you're excited. Let me know if you're a bit disappointed too. And, well, I hope we can all move on and get behind the fact that we are now at Troyes. Catch you in the next video.